What's going on, y'all? Hope y'all feeling good today. I'm feeling great myself, I know I ain't been on this camera behind this lens and, give me all the content as much as I should, but, I'm human. I got a life outside of this. I'm productive outside of this. I'm building plans and, just trying to build my future and live life and, also get rest. And I got so much ahead of myself outside of content, but I do plan on being more productive and giving y'all what y'all want to see and giving so many more distinctive topics and having a lot of intrusive thoughts, and I do look forward to engaging a lot of feedback with y'all as my audience, because I look at y'all like family. But I just came from going on a run today, playing some hoops, so I've been outside. I'm back in today giving y'all another topic, and I'm going to talk about why there's power in silence. To me, this something that's very relatable, something that's pretty much in my opinion, that's simple to talk about, self-explanatory. I always personally been a silent person, never really revealed too much about myself to people. I've always kind of been sheltered, in my own lane. To me, in my opinion, and for what I've analyzed in life, that's gotten me far. And I'm going further, so I'm not nowhere near where I'm supposed to be. But others in my life around me in certain instances have opposed that. Some may call it weird or lame. If you know what I'm talking about, if you can relate to this, you may understand. But it's like when you in your own little circle, you mind your business, and others that may want verification and validation for whatever. They'll look at you like, who is this guy, or what is she doing, or what is he doing? Why they not like us? And some people may use that against you or whatever, but for me personally, I just always know how to mind my business and get to where I'm going and do my own thing. And I've always had my own identity. I think that play a big role in today's society, because we got a lot of people, especially young people, even older, but we got a lot of people that's just misled and misguided, and they're seeking validation and attention in the wrong way. And me personally, I feel like that's why a lot of the things are going on when it comes to like violence and the disruption. A lot of the things that we see in the everyday world and the communities that we stay in. And the devil is using these people that are already mentally disoriented. They don't understand what life is really about. And they don't understand their purpose and their passions. And, they don't know what self-identity is. And he's using them to, do his mission. But when they should, obviously have a connection with God. And they can, if they did, they would have a purpose in life, and they would know what it really is to live life, what that really means, should I say. But, to go more in depth in what I was speaking of, and the topic at hand is, me personally, I feel like silence, definitely will prevail you more than being a very loud, boastful person that want to be always on the scene and, heard, because, sometimes it's best to be quiet and vigilant. Me personally, you don't want to reveal everything all the time, because you can sometimes be speaking to the enemy that can be disguised as a friend, or of somebody that you see as a family member, or a supportive person, especially when you're talking about business, plans, places you want to move to, ideas. And, you might be talking to someone that doesn't have the same level of courage and, wisdom, and they don't have this type of discernment, or they don't have the calling that you do. So what happened in that case is they'll prey on your downfall, or they'll fake it in your face like they really support you, but behind closed doors they wish bad upon you, and they wish that they hope and pray that you really don't make it, or they don't want to see you move. They don't want to see you become a homeowner or the business owner. They don't want you to thrive and succeed. And God opposes you to be so vocal all the time. There's nothing wrong with voicing my opinion, because I do that as well when necessary. But I don't voice my opinion about the wrong things to the wrong people. And that does take discernment. It does take a very in-depth and intuitive aspect of belief with God and a relationship with Christ, should I say. Everyone doesn't have that. I'm growing. I'm not perfect. I'm working on my relationship with God. I'm getting in His Word. I'm getting closer. I'm asking for discernment, and I ask God to reveal what's not of Him, and so what's not of Him and what's of Him every day, so I can know who I'm around and what I'm around. And that's what I encourage you all to do. But it's not always the best thing to be so vocal and speak so much, because it's the power of the tongue is serious, and that carries life and death, but it can also carry failure and success. And that's something that a lot of people don't know. Me personally, I want to succeed and win. I want to get everything that God has for me in store while I'm here, and I will. But it's something simple as just speaking too much can ruin that. and I don't want to be the cause of my own downfall. And I've learned from that. I've learned from mistakes before because, I've shared informations and plans with things with people that, I really confided in. I thought with my friends and family members and people that I really, thought I could trust and had my best interests. In reality, they didn't. And how I found that out was that, some of our relationships, they severed and we went separate ways. And, it could have, it wasn't directly stated that it was due to that, but I can sense the jealousy and the envy after a certain amount of time with these people. Or someone will blatantly say, I don't think that's going to work. I don't know about that. That might not sell. I'm going to do it like this. And, it's nothing wrong with, agreeing to disagree. No two people are made alike, and we never, no one has the same opinion 100% of the time. And that's fine. But you just can understand the difference between disagreeing and, disrespect or someone that just don't support you and they don't want to see you do it. So somebody can give their incentive on what they would do if they were in your situation, but they're not. So you will know that, okay, they're giving advice and then they're just trying to persuade me to not do it. They wish they were me and they wish they were doing it. So that's something that causes discernment. If you have that type of spiritual aspect, He'll let you know ahead of time before things go left in a situation where it might be you fighting for your life, or you end up, it might be on the other side where you might be, potentially having to do something to somebody else, or, things just go completely haywire and out of control, in which we see nowadays with a lot of friendships, even family and father, son, mother, daughter, whatever. We see a lot of things going out of control because, a lot of these situations could have been prevented if people just, left it where it was and went their separate ways, because there's no spirituality. There's, it's a lot of demonic attacks, and the spiritual discernment is not there in relationships, and God is not in the middle of it because people don't allow him to, and sometimes they ignore intuition. And I definitely got a video on that too. That's very powerful. That took time for me to build it up. I'm not gonna say that I've ignored it 100%, but there are certain times where I didn't apply it. So I didn't know much about it. I didn't have this spiritual discernment that I have now. And that goes hand in hand with what I'm speaking of when it comes to being silent. Silent people, we tend to have an advantage, I would say. And not to be boastful or saying that we better than anyone, but if you understand life and how, if you understand how life is and how, the spiritual aspect of it is, and that, being silent and being someone that's very quiet, you understand how to look and observe. See, when you someone that talk a lot, you always want to be seen, you want to be everywhere, then usually those type of people, they need verification and validation, and that comes with pride, boastfulness, and usually that's a form of insecurity in between that. So a lot of those people, they need people around them, and when you have a lot of people around you, you really can't focus on who you are because you're focused on what they think of you. Quiet people usually are alone, and that's how I spent a lot of my life, because growing up I never really had a lot of friends. People, they always kind of disown me, and I don't have a problem with that because I never asked for it anyway. I never really asked to be confided in no one. I always knew myself, and I always knew what I was capable of, and I'm growing as I am today. So the people that I did confide in, even the ones that left me hanging, and they betrayed me in different ways, should I say. It wasn't anything physical, but it was different instances where I just had to let them go. They did show signs of being what I thought was a friend and what I considered to be loyal, but I cut them off quick when I seen that they weren't. But for the ones that's with me now, I support y'all, and shout out to y'all, and I hope it remain that way, because the love is mutual, and I really, when I'm there with you, I'm with you. But I grew up really just always a quiet, vigilant person, so I was always able to adapt and understand things around me easier, whether it was right or wrong. And that pays, and that pays in today's age, because while in a world where so much going on so fast, if you're not really inclined spiritually, and if you're not so vigilant and aware, if you don't have self-awareness and situational awareness, you don't understand what's going on around you and who you are. You don't understand how to adapt to that and how to handle situations. So, that's me personally, why I never seek validation for anyone, because I know me and God knows me. So if there's anyone that I'm going to want to be validated and I want verification from is going to be God, because He created me and put me on this earth. But also another should I say pro of another pro of being silent is that you understand it makes you more of a productive person. And the reason I say that is because you're out the way. That's my personal opinion. It could be wrong. I mean, some of y'all could disagree, should I say. But me personally, I'm not in the mix, as I once mentioned. I'm not always where everyone else is. I don't have a lot of big group of friends. I don't congregate with many people. And if I do, it's always somebody that we have a lot in common. So we can understand a lot about each other mentally. We understand that we're going places. We may not be doing the same thing in life. We don't have the same calling as no one does, but we can confide in each other, and we can give, equal knowledge, because we understand that, we have bigger purposes. So I'm always productive. I'm always seeking knowledge. I'm quick to hear as opposed to talk. We all have 2 eyes and 2 ears as opposed to 1 mouth, and I apply that to life. I don't really voice my opinion unless it's necessary. I give, validity when I speak. It's always truth, knowledge, and wisdom. Understand, I don't just put nothing. A lot of gibberish that don't just come out of our mouth. It's always something of integrity and morality, high authority. I'm always speaking of honor and truth. So, and anyone that really knows me, they can speak on this. Like, he really got some sense. And even some of my family members and people that know me and outsiders that, that may not be related, they're like, he's very intelligent. We can tell he was raised correctly. He's going to go far in life. And this isn't a boastful thing. It's just facts. And, because I really never, as I once mentioned, I didn't ask for their opinions or any verification. But, when you know yourself, you just know what you're capable of doing and who you are. So, yeah, I said, that's another one of my aspects of life where I feel like silent people, we have an advantage over people that want to just always seek the validation of others and share too much. We're more productive. When you're sharing a lot, in my personal opinion, that can ruin what you're doing. Not only can it ruin what you're doing and what you're trying to do, but you're probably it's a great chance that you're not going to be as productive, because you want to, for one, get another person's opinion. So you'll be trying, when you are productive, you'll be trying to do it for the wrong reason. You'll be trying to do things to please people, as opposed to someone that's silent and vigilant, and they're also confident in themselves. They know what they're about. They know what they're capable of doing and what they're put here for. So when we're trying to complete our task and our missions in life, we're not trying to do it for another person's approval. We're doing it because God put us here to do it, and this is our mission and our calling, no matter what it may be. Most people that I've observed in life that are really loud and there comes with they are very insecure. Insecure people, they seek validation. They're very they don't understand self-awareness, so they don't know who they are. They're trying to find themselves in the wrong ways, and that could be a plethora of things. So it's it won't be one situation that I can just pinpoint, but whether it's right or wrong, that it's all leads back to wrong, because trying to find yourself in another person will always lead you astray. But I encourage everyone to if you're dealing with this, if this is something that you find yourself often saying that you're sharing too much, or you want to break getting that first car, or getting a business loan, or you're trying to open up your brand, your restaurant, your business, whatever it might be, or you might want advice to move, and you're talking to a person that's so fixated on one environment in one city, and they always shutting your plans down and saying they don't think you should do it, and you're kind of battling between, well, do they really care about me? Are they giving me the best advice, or should I go with my plan? I feel like you should definitely pray, get a discernment ask God for discernment, strengthen your relationship with Him, and definitely don't seek the validation of others. Remain silent, remain vigilant. Don't reveal all your plans to anyone, because no matter who it is, because you never know what they may be preying on when you're not around. Sometimes it may be people that really will tell you, go ahead and do it, and they'll still they don't want to see you do it. So, and I'm not trying to tell nobody, how to operate life, because, at the end of the day, we all human. You're going to do what you want to do. Me personally, I always grew up as well, not really trusting many. And that was due to how people treated me what I saw around me, things like that. So that's another reason why I was always very vigilant. You have to earn my trust as opposed to me giving it to you. And that causes me to be silent because I'm always watching. I'm looking, I'm listening. And that's what I do personally. And honestly, if you ask me, it could wear you mentally, I'm not gonna lie, but it depends on the situation and what's going on, and how often this is. If this is everyday occurrence, that can be a mental aspect of a lot of stress, anxiety, because that brings fear, anxiety, that brings depression. When you're always not trusting people, you don't really know if they're right or wrong. You don't really know who's for you and who against you. So your mind is always wondering like that, and that's how I was. But like I said, with the intuition, discernment of God, you can never go wrong because He'll never lead you astray. But I actually want to read the scripture in regard to this subject, and this is from Jeremiah 29:11. God says, this is from Proverbs 29:11. Excuse me. Sorry about that, y'all. It says, a fool gives full vent to his spirit, but a wise man quietly holds it back. So when we hear the word vent, you automatically think of speaking, telling your opinion, pouring out your emotions. When you vent to somebody, it's usually somebody you can trust, and that's what I think of when I hear that word, right? But it says a fool gives full vent. So that means you just tell it all whenever, to whomever, but a wise man quietly holds it back. So in my opinion, from that scripture, what I got was, a foolish person just tell everything that they feel on their heart and whatever they might know to anyone. But a wise man will know how to understand that everything is not for everybody to know. And that's me, and this is not, it pays to be secretive because, you just got to understand that everyone is not for you. I think a lot of people don't know that. You don't owe everyone loyalty, especially, if they're not coming on your journey of success. A lot of people confuse, titles and relationships as a form of loyalty and respect and honor, things like that. And I'm not saying to just change up on people, but you just got to know that just because they related to you, or just because they friends, or you think they are at least, but just because they might be related or family members or family friends, or you grew up with them, you may eventually depart from these people, because you got to think, when you call to do great missions in the works of God, everyone is not going to go on your journey. It's you that's on your journey. It's not them. So, you'll naturally depart from a lot of people, and it might be some of your closest friends. It may be before that. It may be when you get there. Usually it comes before, and I can speak from what I've saw, from what I've been told, and I can speak from even now. I can see what God is doing to me now. He's isolating me. This is truly my season of isolation. I wouldn't say I'm falling out with people, but I've dealt with a lot of people that, as I once mentioned, they really haven't had my best interest like I thought they did. And these are people I've done a lot of things for. And I don't mention that because there's no purpose in it. Whatever I do or say, or if I give any type of money or attention, or if it don't even have to be money, if it's anything that I do or say, or if I give any type of time towards anybody, let alone my time and energy is priceless. So I give it out of generosity and, being a genuine person. So I don't count that and pinpoint things, because that's not genuine. That's not authentic. That's not righteousness. I move out of love and honor and respect. And, sometimes I've made the mistake of, looking at myself and, looking at others as a mirror of me. And I think that, they've probably a lot of narcissistic and, I would say, manipulative people, they've taken advantage of that, because they see that I'm a kind person. I'm quiet, as I once mentioned. I don't have a lot of people that I can confide in with certain situations, of course, in certain things in my life. I choose not to at the same time, but when I do need a lot of people to speak with and confide in, it's not like that. But it's just that a lot of the people that I once confided in and spoke with and gave time and energy and money, and we shared our memories together and things like that. I looked at them as a mirror of me, thought that, and I was thinking that they would give me the same love and loyalty that I gave them. And, that turned out to be that it wasn't the case, because really what they were doing was, they were using me for what I had and the time and energy I was giving them, because they probably couldn't see that elsewhere. So if they, wanted someone to go somewhere with them or get them a little money to wash or send money to commissary and, do things like that, or, they may need some food and I'll have it. They may need a phone number to start up whatever their business plan was, or they may need a connection that they don't have and they know I have, and they might just want to drain me of my energy and time. Of course, I owe no one anything, and no one does, and you don't either. So that's something I encourage you to understand. But just out of the love and honor, and generosity I have for these people, I did it. So, we got to understand, once again, everybody is not for us, and everything definitely isn't meant to be shared. But, everything comes with knowledge and wisdom. Time definitely reveals all, and, God won't lead you astray. But, the closer you get to him, the deeper your understanding of life will be. I can't say that. And that's something I had to do. Is when I was younger, I didn't have this spiritual relationship that I have with God now. And I'm growing, as I once mentioned before. I'm not perfect. I'm not at the height of my journey. I don't feel like you ever can reach, a full 100% journey of your walk with Christ, because that's a never-ending walk. That's a never-ending relationship. And it's always going to be doors open when, you're talking about a relationship with God, because, it's more knowledge to get in the Word. God is always going to teach you something every day. It's life, until he calls you home in his kingdom. If you all make it, if we all get the opportunity to make it, which we all won't, but whoever get the opportunity to get called into God's kingdom on Judgment Day, life is full of journeys and tests and trials and tribulations, but it's full of lessons and everything. So it's all about what you apply. And that's another reason I have to look at life like that too. Even with the things I'm going through now, as I mentioned, it's a season of isolation. I feel like he's pulling me away from a lot of people and things and my personal pleasures of the world. And, I need money, and I'm trying to get things of what I want to align. And, it's not my time. It's on God's time. And, I'm doing a better job understanding that. So he wants me in a better position to be isolated so I can spend time with him, as opposed to spending time on my thoughts and, my worries and my pleasures on what I want, and the money and credit and the relationships and all of the material things to build my brand and I am doing this for God. This is what he called me to do, but he's telling me to be patient, so I know I kind of may have went off topic a little bit with that, but, once again, I encourage everyone, just be silent. Be silent, be vigilant. You learn a lot more about life like that. You learn a lot more about yourself and others that way as well. When you're always talking and sharing too much and want to be seen and want to be notarized, and you want the clout and verification, and you want all the attention on you, it's so hard to watch, because everybody watching you. So you can't really watch a lot of people. You don't really know what's going on, and that's how a lot of things happen. You get in the mix the wrong way like that. So yeah, y'all, this one video, I'm by the time y'all will see this one, by the time I dropped another one, I'm gonna come at y'all with another topic. I'm gonna see what I'm gonna speak on, but yeah, y'all be blessed, y'all be safe. It's a lot going on. Labor Day weekend was crazy. I'm sure all around the world. I'm in Chicago, but we just gotta stay prayed up. Vigilant, hopeful. Let go of the worry and anxiety. I know it's difficult to say that in these times, because, we all going through something. I'm going through a lot. Never confuse me being behind this camera as perfect. No matter what I may look like, what I got on, what I dress, how I dress, or how good my hair is cut, nothing like that. I'm still in the flesh. I'm a man at the end of the day. But, I operate out of I operate out of the spirit of the Lord, because, he the one that put this on my heart to even get behind this camera. Yeah, I had no thoughts of this before. I don't even like attention. If really people really know me, they know I'm not the type of person to even really, I'm a people person, don't get me wrong, but I don't really like engaging with a lot of people. I'm not a fan of being behind the camera. So if y'all see me being timid or shy, sometimes I might stutter. That's because I'm still new to this. And over time, y'all see my progress with the content. And, you know, I might be a little more engaging, funny, reacting, and things like that. But like I said, I'm not even a tentative person. That's because I'm so used to being in my own little box and my own little shell. And, you know, that's just how life has operated for me. And, you know, I guess you know, by me being called to do so many different things, that's something I have to learn how to break free of, because, you know, as I mentioned, we all need someone in the relationships. And if I'm going to be, you know, who God called me to be, I can't always be so sheltered and, you know, untrustworthy of people. Not saying I'm still going to trust everyone, because I'm not. But, you know, I will have to, you know, kind of let loose slightly and things like that. But, you know, just, you know, I'm still working on myself every day, and seeking the word of God and, you know, his wisdom and his enlightenment to give me the knowledge and the wisdom and the understanding and the vigilance that I need to operate. So, yeah, man, like I said, y'all be blessed. I'm coming to y'all with some more content. I'm going to try to get some more videos out for y'all. I might do something tomorrow. Definitely going to start back next week, too, as well. I'm going to get on it. You know, I'm coming back at y'all. Like I said, I got a lot of things outside of the camera, outside of YouTube and content creating that I'm dealing with. You know, y'all pray for me. It's a lot going on in my life right now. A lot of things that shouldn't, you know, I really, you know, certain situations I won't speak on camera, but I'll get into it. You know, a lot of anxiety, depression, you know, past trauma, a lot of stuff going on. But, you know, I won't lose. You know, I'm forever victorious through the power of God, because he's glorious. So, you know, I ain't lost yet. I've made it this far. I'm going even further. So I encourage y'all to do the same and just stay prayed up and stay hopeful. You know, we all go through tough times, but every tough time and every test is a testimony. So without that, you know, you won't have a testimony. I understand that. You know, we all God's soldiers. So, you know, just stay vigilant, stay prayed up, and stay silent. You know, that's what I encourage everybody to do. So, yeah, man, I appreciate y'all. So y'all like, comment, subscribe, share this. Definitely get this message out, put this in the algorithm. I appreciate y'all.